here's what I don't want you to miss, okay? Paul had no idea how far his obedience would reach. None. He could not have known that thousands of years later, women like you would be sitting in their living rooms on their lunch breaks, on their morning commutes, opening his letters and finding their way back to Christ. He didn't write with that kind of visibility. He just obeyed. See, one man's yes echoed through generations. And I believe that your obedience carries a ripple effect that you cannot yet see, my sister. Because I know the woman watching this today. She has a calling she cannot shake. She has tried to put it down and it keeps coming back. She has prayed about it, cried about it, journaled about it, and even talked herself out of it more times than she can count. And yet, it's still there. That stirring, that assignment, that vision, that burden. But fear has been talking louder than the calling. It says, I'm not qualified enough. What if I fail publicly? My past is too much. Nobody's going to listen to me. I don't have the resources. Maybe I misheard God. Maybe I'm not good enough. I'm not qualified enough. Think about this. Paul could have said every single one of those things and had more evidence to back them up than most of us ever will. But God already knew that. He knew Paul's past before he called him. He knew his weaknesses before he commissioned him. Jeremiah 1 and verse 5 says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. My sister, you were born. Before you were born, God already knew your name, your wounds, your fears, your insecurities, and he still wrote purpose over your life anyway. The calling was never conditional on you being perfect before you moved. He needs you to move. Now, I want to bring in something else that I think reframes how we should look at this, okay? We tend to talk about not walking in our calling as a fear problem, and it is. But I want to sit here for a moment because Jesus framed it as something more than just that. In Matthew 25, if we go to that, it says, Jesus tells the parable of the talents. A master entrusts 3 servants with different amounts before he leaves on a long journey. 2 of them go and they multiply what they were given. They invest it, they work with it, they let it grow. But the 3rd servant goes and he buries it. And when the master returns and asks him why, the servant says, I was afraid. I want you to sit with that for a moment sit with it for a moment before I say anything else. He wasn't rebellious. He wasn't malicious. He was afraid, and he allowed fear, to keep him from doing what the master gave him, to multiply it. And I think a lot of women of purpose are spiritually doing that exact same thing. Not because they don't love God, but because hiding feels safer than the vulnerability of obedience. And what the master calls it, he doesn't call it understandable. He doesn't call it relatable. He calls it wicked and lazy. Now, I want to be careful here because I don't want you to think that I'm here with a gavel and neither is God. And, this is not the heart of what I'm saying, okay? The heart is this, that stewardship is not just about finances. It's about everything that God has entrusted to you. It's your gift. It's your voice. It's your influence. It's your story. It's your assignment, okay?